This is my 2011 F-150 I recently just picked up. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what to look for when buying a used car and how to buy a used car. The first thing I always look at when buying a car or truck is the body. Are there any scratches, dents, paint defects? As you can see here, there are some dents, but it's not the end of the world. You just want to make sure it's to a minimum. Coming around to the front of the truck, the bumper and grille are both dented, so they might have hit something. Also, there are some scratches that went right through the paint on the hood. Keep an eye out for the windshield and make sure there's no cracks. Other things to check are your headlights and your taillights. Make sure they're all working and functional. Now coming to the tires, you want to make sure it has good tread on them. That can also be a pricey expense. Your wheels are just as important as your tires. A bent or dented wheel could cause you issues while driving, and just like tires, it can be an expensive fix. Right along the edge of the wheel is usually where you'll see curb rash, bends, or dents. Once you finish looking for all those things on the outside of your vehicle, it's time to jump to the inside. The seats are going to be one of the most used things on the interior of your car. Although it might not affect the drivability of your car, it is another negotiation tactic to bring the price down. A cracked dash is another thing to look out for. Not only are they a pain to fix, they are also expensive. The steering wheel is a good reflection of how much drive time a car has had. In my case, mine has had a lot. It's literally taped up with electrical tape. You'll want to take a look at the headliner to make sure it's not falling down, and sometimes if it was a smoker's car, there will be cigarette burns in it, such as right there and alongside the edge of the door. Like I said before, the interior for the most part won't affect the way the car drives, but shows how the car has been taken care of. It also is another way to knock the price down. Moving on to underneath the truck, you're going to be looking for any damage to the frame or rust on it. Also keep an eye out for some leaks. You'll want to make sure you keep an eye out from the bottom parts of your body and the cab corners. Those are notorious spots for rust. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and take a look underneath there. When lifting up the hood, make sure the hood comes up easy and the lift supports are still in good use. Some of the first things I'm going to be looking at on the motor are the belts, checking the oil, and listening to any funny noises that can possibly be coming from it. Also, look for leaks underneath the truck as well. It's almost time for that test drive. Let's start it up and make sure there's no check engine lights coming on the dash. Right before we take off, let's go ahead and lock the wheel both ways to make sure there's no popping or clicking coming from the suspension or the tires. It's also a good idea to ride with the windows down so you can listen and hear any noises the truck is making. One thing I highly recommend is that you floor the vehicle. That way you can see if anything's going to act up in the process, and also make sure you get your vehicle up to highway speeds. But before you get to those highway speeds, you're going to want to make sure the brakes work. Now let me show you how to find the value of the car. We're going to be using Kelley Blue Book and J.D. Power. The first thing you're going to do is type in the year, make and model, and miles. This will give you an average price paid, which is a good spot to be. But in order to get a great deal, you need to be as close as you can to the trade-in value. Now that you've checked the value, let's grab the VIN and check the Carfax. Before I buy a car, I always make sure to look up the VIN. This will tell me if there's been any wrecks and if the car has a clean title. One last thing that I like to do before going to look at a car is search common issues with the vehicle. This will give you a heads up for things to keep an eye out for. Guys, I can't stress this enough. You need to meet at a safe place. Whether this be a QT, a Home Depot, a Walmart, any public place that's well lit and there's a lot of people. I recommend you do this during the day, that way there's no damages or blemishes hidden by the dark. The last things I can tell you is don't get emotionally attached, and don't be afraid to walk away from a deal. If y'all have any other tips or tricks, please put them in the comments below. Everybody stay safe out there. Thank you all for watching, and if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing.